Hi, I just wanted to make this video explaining to my audience what exactly happened to me during the Temple of Set and my time and tenure there while I was a member. Um, Something a lot of people should understand is I started doing this stuff back in 1996, and which was roughly 5 years before I actually filled out the application to become a member. Um, I was involved in all kinds of social circles here in St. Louis, and some of them were Satanists, some of them were Setian, some of them were crossovers, claiming to be both or believe both. Um, and Roger Whittaker was the first person to respond to one of my emails because I was doing a zine and I had been inspired by his on Occult Institute of Technology. If memory serves me correct, is what he called it. Um, I was just simply doing a series of art um, that I thought was a nice parody to something he was experimenting with in sound and music. Um, so we got to talking, and I published a thing in my zine and an art thing with and some of his writing in um, 1997, and then finally in 1998. And that art series was called The Void of the Trapezoid. The zine is no longer, so um, then in the year 2000, um, I enlisted in the U.S. Army as private first class. Um, there was a lot of reasons why. Um, I'd gotten into some trouble and I was running away. I needed a way to pay for college, which was expiring. Um, I was almost 21 by then, and could not get grants or help from my parents anymore. So I, yeah, decided to bite the bullet and go join the army. And I figured, well, since you have to be employed to afford your membership in the Temple of Set, that would be acceptable. And I was so excited, so I sent them my MEPS card actually as my ID. I I didn't get in until 2001. It was weird because they took my money, and her name was Linda Reynolds, and I didn't hear from them for months. I was actually on the Yahoo group list for about 6 months before I actually received anything physical in the mail. But part of that was due to my addresses changed from training station to APO, which was where my permanent station was. So, um, finally, I got my copy of the medallion and the crystal tablet, and I began working in 2001. And I had been experimenting with tarot, just different things, trying to also get into a pylon. I was contacting different people. And I thought because of the transitory nature of first online pylon would be such a great idea. So that was the Gates of Hell pylon, which was run by Rob Neist. And I had been in contact, in communication with all of them because they posed questions and I answered, and I thought I was doing all the things that I needed to do to socialize and meet the members online. But then they came back at me saying, well, no, somebody has to verify that you exist in person because, of course, they want to make sure that I'm a real person. So I also attended a regional pylon meeting with the Pergamen and some of the Gates of Ganzir members and the Disorder of Babylon. And in the meantime, I had made submissions to the Book of Koth, which was a Gates of Hell pylon project, and made one submission to the Scroll, which were all the things that I thought I was required to do. And it was a really nice piece of artwork, which was actually part of the Void of the Trapezoid that I had done with Roger Whittaker. And I didn't get any response from anyone, like, at all. And then time came for the 2001 conclave. No, I think it was 2002. Yeah, so backtrack a little bit. Like, 9/11 happened, and I became super busy and super stressed. And then I was also performing magic then, and it was the night before, so it was like really crazy, I might make another video about that, because that was more of a magical thing that I would like to talk about, because it was very scary. Well, shocking, I should say. I don't know. Yeah, so so there were no priests that could sponsor me in the Gates of Hell, they told me, to get into Conclave. So I did manage to find one priest that was from that regional meeting who verified that I existed in person, and that was Kevin Rockhill. And he was willing to sponsor me, but the problem is he was from Great Britain or the UK, and not a member of the Pergamen pylon. And then basically Roland Winkart was the guy who disagreed, and he outranked Kevin, and he said that Conclave was not something I could just walk right into. So it was really disappointing. And needless to say, 2002 was a year of change and tumultuous times. There was a schism, and Don Webb was stepping down as High Priestess, supposed to take his place in 2002 shortly after, and then there was a schism, and then Patricia Hardy became High Priestess. Anyway, so in 2002, I received the unfortunate news that we were going to be deploying in the year 2003 to Iraq, and I was going to be fighting in the Iraq War. At first, everything was fine. I could just pursue my initiation that way through whatever means. But given after what happened to me at Conclave and with being barred and all the other things that are obviously had to focus on then, I decided to just let the cards fall where they may, and lo and behold, it wasn't shortly after I'd forgotten to pay my membership dues. I just had other things going on, and Linda Reynolds had sent me a letter which had been forwarded to me nearly 6 months after that my membership was just simply being canceled, and if I would like to pay my membership dues, they would be glad to re-up. And no one asked me how I was doing during the war. No one cared. I had basically done all this work for the Gates of Hell pylon and the scroll, and I was just not even given a thanks or any credit whatsoever. And they just completely overlooked all of my effort and my work and absconded with my work for their publication. And, I hear people saying, oh, it just takes a certain caliber to be Setian. And it's like, yeah, I've taken free intellectual property and not giving people credit for their work and effort and not taking any accountability for basically anything and just canceling them, is a certain caliber, yeah, so, I didn't fail at anything. I'd met all the requirements, and then as a matter of fact, I went on to continue practicing black magic and got some great results, which is why I pursue what I pursue today with all of my other projects. I went into Vajrayana Buddhism, and then I started my own Setian order called the Setian Illuminati in 2012. And though I've had more life problems, nothing has failed. I am not a failure at being Setian. And if being unaccountable and just a straight up jerk is a certain caliber of what they want, well, they can keep, you know, they can keep that, you know. I'm pretty much confident that even other Setians who are in the Temple of Set will hear my story and think, oh my god, yeah, if that happened to me, that would have really sucked. Doing all that work and then just being canceled because of an administrative error, yeah. So everyone can just stop being assholes towards me and treating me like I failed at something, because I did not. Okay, I do my work. Like, in fact, I do my practice every day now. Okay, you can't tell me I'm not left-hand path, and you can't tell me I'm not Setian. Alright. Love you guys. Bye.